everyone. Welcome you to the 14th lecture of Applied Thermodynamics subject. Today's topic is ODP and GWP. So first of all, what is this ODP? So the ODP, which stands for ozone depletion potential. And here in this case, according to the Montreal Protocol, the ODP of the refrigerant should be a 0, or you can say there should be a non-ozone depleting substance. It means that they should not harm the ozone layer. So it means that the refrigerant, they must not harm, or you can say they must not damage the ozone layer, or you can say there should be the non-ozone depleting substance. It means that the value of the ODP for all the refrigerants should be 0 to ensure that they can, or you can say they cannot harmful to the ozone layer. And here you can see the refrigerants having the non-zero ozone depletion potential, or you can say the ODP have either already been passed out, for an example like R11 and R12, or will be phased out in the near future, or you can say in the case of R22. So here you can see the R11 and R12 which already banned, and R22 will be banned soon, because they are non-zero, or you can see the value of this ODP is a non-zero in the case of R11, R12, or the case of R22. So since the ODP depends mainly on the presence of the chlorine or bromine in the molecules, a refrigerant having the either chlorine, for an example the CFCs, so the CFCs which stands for the chlorofluorocarbons, and HCFCs, where this HCFCs which stands for hydrochlorofluorocarbons, or you can say the bromine, which cannot be used under the new regulation. So the value of this ODP, which mainly depends upon the presence of the chlorine, or you can say the bromine in the molecules. So here you can see if the refrigerant having this value of the chlorine, or in the case of CFCs and HFCs, or in the case of bromine, which cannot be used under the new regulations because they have the higher value of ODP, or you can say the non-zero value of the ODP, or you can say they are harmful to the ozone layer, so they must be banned. And here is the GWP. So the GWP, which stands for the global warming potential. So the refrigerant should have a low value of a GWP value as you can say possible to minimize the problem of global warming. So here you can see they minimize this effect of the global warming. The value of the GWP of any of the refrigerant which must be lower as possible, or you can say which must be minimum as possible. So here you can see the refrigerant with 0 ODP but have a high value of GWP, for an example the R134A, or you can say the Freon, which is widely used in the case of domestic refrigerators as well as air conditioners, are likely to be regulated in the future. So in the case of R134A, the value of ODP is 0, but the value of GWP, it means that global warming potential is higher. So here you can see in the case of refrigerants, the value of GWP which must be minimized, so that we can minimize the effect of this global warming. And here is the simple vapor compression refrigeration systems, or you can say the VCRS system. So here is an example here can we do the cooling effect inside our required space or inside the refrigerator. So here is here is the space in which we can do the cooling effect, or we can generate the cooling effect. So here is the, you can say the required space, or you can say the refrigerated space, or you can say here is the inside space of any refrigerator. So first of all, as we all know that when we supply some amount of heat to any system, the value of system temperature increases. But when we reject some amount from the system, then the system temperature must be decreased. So on this principle the VCRS system work. So here is a system. So if we can arrange such a mechanism so that the value of the heat which gets rejected from the required space, then it can be maintained at the below atmospheric temperature. So here if we do, or you can say if we create a mechanism so that some amount of heat which must be continuously rejected from this required space to the atmosphere, so that we can maintain the below atmospheric temperature inside our refrigerant space. So for that we required a medium, so which absorb the heat from our required space and which throw it to the atmosphere. So for that we require a medium which absorbs some amount of heat from the required space and throw it to the atmosphere, and for that we are using the refrigerant. So here you can see refrigerant is the medium who you can say which absorb some amount of heat from the required space and send it to the atmosphere. So the function of the refrigerant is to absorb the heat from the required space and reject the same amount of heat to the atmosphere. So we can maintain the below atmospheric temperature inside this refrigerated space or required space. So here is a cycle on which the VCRS system run. So here is the first component, which is the compressor component. So here you can see the first of all the low pressure saturated vapor refrigerant which gets inside of the compressor with the help of this valve A, or we can say suction valve A. So in the case of compressor, the value of pressure which gets increased and also the value of temperature which gets increased. So at outlet the value of pressure which becomes the high pressure refrigerant and also the high temperature refrigerant. So here is the first component, which is the compressor. So the low pressure and low temperature vapor refrigerant from the evaporator is drawn into the compressor through the inlet, or you can say the suction valve A, where it is compressed to the high pressure and high temperature. And also the high pressure and high temperature vapor refrigerant is discharged into the condenser through the delivery valve, or you can say the discharge valve B. So here you can see first the low pressure saturated vapor refrigerant which gets inside with the help of this suction valve A, and here you can see inside the compressor the value of pressure and the value of temperature of the refrigerant which gets increased, and you can see the high value of temperature and high value of pressure of refrigerant which gets outlet from the outlet valve B to the next device, which is the condenser. And this condenser is nothing but a heat exchanger in which the value of pressure which remains constant. So here you can see the condenser is nothing but just a tubular arrangement type of heat exchanger in which some amount of refrigerant which gets flowed. So initially it having the value of high pressure, and also you can see the pressure which remains constant. So at outlet also the value of pressure is high, but at inlet the phase of this refrigerant is a vapor, but at outlet the phase of the refrigerant which becomes a liquid. So here you can see at the inlet the phase of the refrigerant is a vapor, or you can say the gaseous phase, but at the outlet it becomes a liquid. So here for that you have to understand this thing, that the heat having the two different phases, or you can say heat having the two different types. The first one is the sensible heat, the other one is the latent heat. So in the case of sensible heat, the value of the phase which remains constant, it means that the value of temperature which gets changed. So here you can see the value of temperature which gets changed. So when we supply or remove some amount of heat in which the phase of the substance which remains the same but the value of temperature which gets changed, then that amount of heat which is called as the sensible heat. So in the case of latent heat, what happens? The value of temperature which remains constant or the value of temperature which remains the same, and in the case of latent heat the value of phase which gets changed. So when we apply or you can say some amount of heat which is supplied or we can say rejected in which the value of temperature which remains same but the value of phase which gets changed, then that type of heat which is known as the latent heat. So here you can see the phase change which occurs from the high pressure side vapor to the high pressure side liquid vapor mixture, or you can say the liquid. So here you can see inside this tube of the condenser the high temperature refrigerant is flowing, and the outlet of this condenser atmospheric air is there. So here you can see there must be a heat interaction between this atmospheric air and this condenser device. So here you can see some amount of heat which gets rejected to this atmosphere by the refrigerant. As here you can see the value of the condenser temperature is pretty much higher. So for an example, if the value of this high pressure condenser refrigerant side is say 100 degree, for an example, and here is the atmospheric air which is say 25 degree. So here you can see the heat interaction which gets happen from this condenser or you can say refrigerant which is flowing inside the condenser to the atmospheric air. So here you can see some amount of heat which gets rejected from this refrigerant which is flowing inside the condenser and between the atmospheric air. So here you can see the latent heat which gets rejected by the refrigerant. So it's a phase which becomes liquid from the gaseous, and now this liquid is further collected in a vessel which is known as the receiver. So this liquid refrigerant which gets collected in the receiver. So first of all, here is the second component which is the condenser. So the condenser, or you can say the cooler, which consists of the coils or you can say the pipe in which the high pressure and temperature vapor refrigerant is cooled and also the condensed. Okay, this meaning of this word condense is, it means that the phase change which gets happen from gaseous to liquid. So it is also known as the condensation process. And the refrigerant while passing through the condenser gives up its latent heat. It means the temperature which remains same but the phase which gets changed to the surrounding condensing medium which is normally air or water. So in the case of domestic refrigerators the medium is normally air. And also the next component is the receiver component. So here you can see the condensed liquid refrigerant from the condenser is stored in a vessel which is known as the receiver, from where it is supplied to the evaporator through the expansion valve, or you can say the refrigerant control valve. So it is nothing but you can say a vessel in which some amount of liquid refrigerant which is coming out from the condenser which gets stored. And now the next one is the expansion valve. So it is also called the throttle valve, or you can say the refrigerant control valve. So the function of the expansion valve is to allow the liquid refrigerant under the high pressure and temperature to pass the controlled rate after reducing its pressure and temperature. So let's understand how this process gets happen. So as we earlier know that the value of pressure inside this condenser which remains same because it is a heat exchanger. So here you can see the liquid having the very high value of pressure. So now it allows to flow inside the expansion device, or you can say the refrigerant control valve. So in general, this type of expansion device, or you can say the capillary tubes, are used. So here you can see in the case of expansion device like capillary tubes, you can see there are so many turns because it has a coil type of structure. So you can see there are so many types of turn. So when the refrigerant which flow from inlet to the outlet of this coil, you can say it must passes so many turns or so many curves, so that the value of pressure which becomes pretty much lower at the outlet. So here you can see the pressure which becomes lower when the refrigerant which passes through this expansion device. And also there must be some decrement in the flowing area of this tube. And also you can see the flowing area, or you can see the cross sectional area of this tube, which also gets decreased gradually. It means that at outlet the value of cross sectional area is more, but at outlet the value of cross sectional area or flowing area is less. So here you can see there will be a decrement in the cross sectional area or the flowing area, so that the value of pressure which becomes pretty much lower. So as the value of pressure which gets so much lower, the value of temperature which also gets so much lower. So here you can see after passing the expansion valve, the refrigerant which becomes saturated, or you can say it becomes chilled, or you can say the value of the temperature after passing the expansion valve, here you can say refrigeration, or you can say the refrigerant temperature which becomes pretty much lower in the case of -30 to -40 degree Celsius. So here you can see this thing which can be achieved with the help of this expansion device, or you can say the capillary tube. So at the point A, or you can say the first of all the low pressure vapor, or you can say saturated vapor refrigerant which is going inside the compressor, at outlet it phase becomes superheated. So and also the value of pressure temperature which gets increased. So here you can see at outlet it becomes superheated vapor, so the high pressure superheated vapor, and after passing the condenser again it becomes saturated liquid, and further which is connected at the receiver, and this liquid, or you can say this saturated liquid having the value of high pressure which is going inside the expansion valve, and here you can see again the value of pressure which gets a decrease, and the value of temperature which also gets very much decrease in the case of -20, -30 or -40 degree Celsius. So here you can see as the value of temperature which gets so much decreased, which is flowing inside the coil, or you can say which is also known as the evaporator coil, which is you can say the evaporator which is placed inside the required space. So here you can see first of all here you can see a very chilled refrigerant which is flowing inside the evaporator coil in the range of -30 or -40, and here you can see here is the inside space of our refrigerator, or you can say here is the required space. So for that, here at before, or you can say at initial, the value of air inside, or you can say the value of temperature inside the refrigerated space is say -25, and the value of temperature of the refrigerant which is flowing inside the tube is say -30 degree. So here you can see some heat exchange maybe, or you can say the heat exchange which takes place from the higher temperature body to the lower temperature body. So here you can see the value of the refrigerant, or you can say the refrigerant temperature is lower, so it absorbs some amount of heat from the required space. And here in the case of a condenser, the refrigerant which rejects some amount of heat from the system to surrounding, or you can say to the atmosphere. So our first aim was to absorb some amount of heat from the required space, so which is done by the help of this component of evaporator, and to throw the same amount of heat to the atmosphere, which is done by the help of this device known as the condenser. So these both are the heat exchangers, and into both the value of pressure which remains same or which remains constant. So in the case of expansion valve, so here the function of the expansion valve is to allow the liquid refrigerant under the high pressure and temperature to pass at a controlled rate after reducing its pressure as well as the temperature, and some of the liquid refrigerant which gets evaporated is passes through the expansion valve, but the greater portion is vaporized in the case of evaporator and also the low pressure and temperature. So after the expansion, the phase of the refrigerant which becomes the mixed phase, or you can say the liquid plus gaseous, in which it has the a very much high amount of liquid particles but pretty much less amount of gaseous particles. So when here you can see the high pressure liquid which gets expanded in this expansion valve, or you can say the capillary tube, at outlet it phase becomes a low pressure mixture of the liquid as well as the gaseous phase. So here you can see liquid vapor mixture. So at outlet it phase becomes liquid vapor mixture. So when it is going inside the evaporator, the value of the temperature of the refrigerant which becomes same or which remains a constant or which remains same, but the phase change happens. So here you can see the refrigerant which absorbing some amount of heat, which means that at outlet its phase becomes gaseous, but at inlet its phase is mixed phase of liquid plus gas, in which the liquid particle is more inside the refrigerant. So here you can see at outlet is the mixture of liquid plus gas, inside which the value of liquid particle is more and gaseous particle is less. And here is the evaporator. So an evaporator consists of a coil of pipe in which the liquid vapor refrigerant at low pressure and low temperature is evaporated, and you can see changed into vapor refrigerant at a low pressure and a low temperature. So in evaporating, the liquid vapor refrigerant absorbs its latent heat of vaporization. It means that the value of temperature which becomes the same, only the phase change happens from liquid plus gas to gaseous phase. And from the medium, it may be air, it may be water, or you can say brine, which is to be cooled, but in the case of domestic refrigerator, the medium is atmospheric air. So here you can see how this whole cycle which works, and how can we get the cooling effect inside our required space. So the main function which is fulfilled by this complete cycle. And here is the pH chart, or you can say the pressure enthalpy chart. So here is the critical point, and this line which is known as the saturated vapor line. It means that if we mark any point on this line, the phase of that point becomes saturated vapor, or you can say saturated gaseous phase. And here you can see the portion beyond that line to the right side is known as the superheated vapor region, and also this above critical pressure line, the whole section which is known as the superheated vapor region. And here is at leftward the line which is known as the saturated liquid line. So if we mark any point on this line, the phase of the substance which becomes saturated liquid, and here you can see the portion which is at the left of this saturated liquid line and at the below of this critical pressure line is known as the subcooled liquid region. And here there is some area between this saturated liquid line and saturated vapor line. So this area which is known as the wet vapor region. It means that it is the mixture of liquid plus gaseous phase. Here you can see 100% gaseous phase is there, 100% liquid phase is there. But inside this dome, the phase of any substance which becomes liquid plus gaseous. And here is the pH and TS diagram of the VCRS system. So here, as we all know that first of all the saturated vapor refrigerant which is going inside the compressor, and generally the process which is happening inside the compressor is isentropic compression. So here you can see the value of entropy inside the compression process which remains constant. So here you can say S1 is equal to S2. It is known as the isentropic compression. So you can see the entropy of this compression process which remains same, and the value of you can see pressure which also increases, and the value of temperature which also gets increases. And also here you can see 8.2 say the phase of the refrigerant which becomes superheated. So here you can see 8.2 the phase of the refrigerant which becomes superheated after passing the compressor. So when the superheated refrigerant which is going inside the condenser, so here you can see the refrigerant which rejects some amount of heat to the atmosphere. It means that first of all some value of the sensible heat which gets rejected, and after that the latent heat which gets rejected. Due to this latent heat rejection, the phase change process is happening from the gaseous to the liquid. So at point 3 its phase becomes saturated liquid. And here the value of pressure which remains constant in the case of condenser because it is a heat exchanger. So here you can see the pressure which remains constant, and here also the value of temperature which remains constant during the phase change process, and here you can see the value of temperature which gets decreased from the superheated to the saturated region. So now as this high pressure saturated liquid which is flowing inside the expansion device, so generally here you can see the expansion process which is carried under the isenthalpic process. So here in the case of VCRS the expansion is isenthalpic expansion, or you can say here you can see in this case the process is known as the throttling process, in which the value of enthalpy which remains constant from point 3 to 4. So the value of enthalpy which remains same or which remains a constant. And at outlet, as we know that the phase of the refrigerant which becomes a mixed phase, in which the value of liquid particles are more and the gaseous particles are less. So here you can see the point which is located nearby the saturated liquid line, and here you can see the point which is far away from this saturated vapor line. It means that it is the point at which the liquid particles are more as compared to the gaseous particle, and the enthalpy remains constant. So here you can see the line which is followed is the vertical in the case of pH diagram, and here you can see also it is at the mixed phase. And from point 4 to 1, so again it is happening in the evaporator. So as we all know that in the case of evaporator, this refrigerant which absorbs some amount of heat from the required space, or you can say inside the refrigerator. So here you can see some amount of heat which gets absorbed from the required space, and here is the amount of heat which gets ejected to the atmosphere, so that we can maintain the below atmospheric temperature inside the refrigerator. So again this evaporator is the heat exchanger, so in which the pressure remains constant, and here you can see as the refrigerant absorbs some amount of heat, or you can say absorbs some amount of latent heat, it means that now only the phase change happened and the temperature which remains constant inside the evaporator. So here you can see the phase change which is happening from liquid plus gaseous to the 100% gaseous. And here you can see if you want to find out the value of COP, or you can say the coefficient of performance of any VCRS cycle, then it must be the ratio of output upon input. So in the case of VCRS cycle or VCRS system, the output is the refrigerating effect which we getting inside this evaporator, and here is you can see the work done. So the work supplied to rotate the compressor. So here is the work done, and here is the refrigerating effect. So here is the output and here is the input. So if you want to find out the value of this output, then here you can see we can do the enthalpy difference from H1 minus H4 for the output, or you can say the cooling effect or refrigerating effect. And if you want to find out the value of input, then we have to find out the value of work done to this compressor. So which can be find out with the help of this enthalpy difference of H2 minus H1. Here you can see the value of H2 is higher, so we are writing H2 minus H1, and in the case of 1 to 4 the value of H1 is higher, so that's why we are writing H1 minus H4. So H2 minus H1 is the work of compressor, and in this case you can see the enthalpy in 8.3 and 8.4 which remains the same. So instead of H4 we can also write HF3, because here you can see 8.3 the phase of the refrigerant is saturated liquid. So instead of H3 we can also write HF3. So here we can also write H4 is equal to HF3 or H3. So this term which also be written as H1 minus HF3 upon H2 minus H1. So here is the complete VCRS system. And here are some questions for you. Explain ODP and GWP and explain the simple vapor compression refrigeration system, or you can say the VCRS system. You have to solve both these questions and send it to Google Classroom.